What's up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Abbott Elementary Season 2, Episode 8. The episode is titled Egg Drop, you guys. Funny episode. So before we get into this review, if you guys are watching the video, excuse me, or any other video on the channel and aren't subscribed to the channel, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's discuss Abbott Elementary, shall we? So you guys, this episode, it was funny when it opened, right? So we see Barbara, we see Jacob, and we see Melissa. So they're out there in the garden. So it appears that we are deep into the winter because there's snow in the garden, right? Snow or ice, right? So Barbara's digging through it, and she finds a bone, and her, Jacob, and Melissa just took off running. So, because they thought it was a human bone, right? So we see Mr. Johnson. So Mr. Johnson is laughing because he has the bone in his hand, and he has one of those, those skeletons, right? So Mr. Johnson played a joke on them, but then Mr. Johnson looked at it like, wait a minute, is this the one that I buried or not? And then we find out that Gregory actually took Mr. Johnson's bone, replaced that with a bone from a rib spare. I was like, okay, it was good. It was funny. So we see the teachers, so they're having their midterm development meeting. So everybody looks pretty down about this, with the exception of, with the exception of Janine, right? So Ava tells them what the board wants them to do, and she then say, hey, okay, you guys got a few minutes to tell me what your goals are, because y'all are cutting into her pre-happy hour. I was like, damn, Ava, happy hour on the job, and you said pre. Okay, but sometimes when Ava's a mess, right? So Jacob stands up, and Jacob tells them that he has a week that is dedicated to the historical horror of Thanksgiving for the indigenous people. I was like, oh God, Jacob. And he's also going to be showing soul food. I was like, okay, Jacob. So Barbara says that her kids will be making handprint Christmas trees, and Janine says that her students will be making hand turkey art, and she'll use it to soak up the snow that seeps into it. I was like, oh my God. So you're going to have these babies make a hand turkey, and then you're going to use that hand turkey to soak up snow? Wow. So then this teacher, Mr. Morton, he gets up and he's talking about he needs to use a gymnasium. He's going to have an egg drop. He teaches 8th grade, right? Janine teaches 1st grade, right? Janine teaches 1st. So Janine hops up and says that she would like for her students to partake in this. I was like, ugh, Janine, baby, you teach little kids. These kids are not going to understand what the 8th graders are understanding. And I'm pretty sure probably some of the 8th graders don't even understand the logistics behind the science. But okay, Janine wants to participate. I was like, ugh, typical Janine, this ain't going to end well. But let's pause here and let's move forward. All right, you guys. So next up, we see Barbara. So Barbara is in her class, and one of her students' mother drops them off. So she's I don't know what her mother's name was, but the girl who played the mother is Raven Goodwin. So you might know Raven Goodwin from Being Mary Jane. She was on something. She's been on a lot of different things. She was in Single Black Female with Amber Riley. She's been on a slew of other things, right? I just can't think off the top of my head what she's been in. So her character has, in big, bold black letters across her chest, tattooed, bitch. I was like, damn, you got bitch tattooed across your chest, right? So then Barbara was offended about it. She's like, I don't even utter that word. But my favorite B word is Barbara. Bible blessings. So then we see Melissa. So Melissa, she went and got some eggs, right? So Ava came in there and got one of them eggs to cure her hangover, and Melissa's like, "You just got here, didn't you?" Ava didn't say nothing. Melissa was at the camera like. So we find out that Melissa has now gotten involved in the egg drop because some of her students have talked to some of Janine's students have talked to Melissa's students, and now Melissa has been roped into once again something that Janine has done. So then we move back over to the mother with the bitch tattoo, right? So Barbara was like, "Can you kind of cover yourself up just a bit?" Oh, she's like, "Girl, no problem." So she has this sweatshirt on, right? And she zipped it up. It had slut on it. I was like, damn. So one of the listeners said, "Mrs. Howard, what is SL?" She said, "No, no, no, It stands for St. Louis University of Technology." I was like, "Hey, Barbara, good thinking on your feet." But that ain't no acronym. We all know that that's not an acronym. So after that, we move over to this egg drop. So I forgot to mention, so Jacob has a slight beef with Mr. Morton, right? Now everybody keeps telling Jacob that it's in his head that Mr. Morton doesn't have a beef with him, right? But because Mr. Morton is so nice to him, he speaks to Jacob, but Jacob's like, "No, it's not. He's playing you guys." So so everybody's in the gymnasium. Ava came along because she just wanted to see Janine fail. So Mr. Morton, he's doing his egg drop, right? So he drops one of the eggs and it falls to the ground, right? And when it fell, it didn't break. So then next up was Melissa. So Melissa got up and she dangled all of hers over, and not one of hers broke. So then comes time for Janine. And I was looking at Janine for a minute. I'm like, Janine, are you afraid of heights, baby girl? Because you look like you're afraid of heights. When Janine got up there and did her eggs, I mean, she just dropped them. Boom, 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 one after one. They all broke. And then this one little boy made one. He said it was his best friend. And he started crying when his best friend went splat. I was like, oh no. No, no, no. That wasn't good. So let's pause here and move forward. So we see in the teacher's lounge, Janine is talking to Melissa like, "Melissa, why didn't any of your eggs break?" Melissa was like, "Because I cheated." She's like, I hard boiled my eggs. I was like, well, hey, it worked, right? Your kids weren't disappointed. Whereas Janine's kids were a mess. They were crying. So they then start talking about science, right? Jacob says that he feels like science is history plus math. Gregory says that's not true. Ava says she was talking about this one movie, and then she said, "You know what's iffy? Pigeons." I was like, pigeons are iffy? Okay. Melissa says she doesn't believe in the moon landing. Mr. Johnson says he doesn't believe in the moon. I was like, you don't believe in the moon, but it's out almost every night, right? So then Jacob says he doesn't believe in gluten tolerance because he thinks it's just, internalized white people guilt. Okay. Mr. Johnson says gluten ain't real. Then Ava says Stevie Wonder ain't blind. I was like, now, so Gregory told Janine that he would help her, right? Because Amber canceled on him. I was like, oh, Amber canceled on you. Okay. So then we see Barbara. So Barbara is talking to the mother about her tattoo and her clothing, right? Barbara put her foot in her mouth when she assumed that that woman was a single mother. She was like, "My husband of 6 years, and she owns her own clothing line." I was like, Barbara, just tell the. It's easier way to deal with what Barbara was dealing with. Barbara, all you gotta say is these are young impressionable children, and you coming in here with the bitch tattoo and a shirt that says slut. It might be okay for your daughter, but I don't want my other children subjected to that, because then they're gonna go home to their parents asking them what bitch mean. What is a bitch? What is a slut? So Barbara could have handled that much better. And she said, "You, Miss Ma'am, can have a good day." She said, "It's Miss Howard." She says, "I know who you are." So then we see Janine, right? So Janine is still working on this egg drop. I love Janine's enthusiasm, but I was still sitting here thinking to myself with this, it's like Did I miss the part? I think I did. I missed the part where she was working with Gregory, right? So I love Janine's enthusiasm, but at the same time, Janine, these are kids that don't understand science. The most I know about science in this first and second grade was about a plant. Because I remember in the second grade, my teacher had us make a bean plant, and this person right here, his bean plant didn't survive. It survived in class, but when it got home, that bean plant didn't survive. That bean plant, we got home with it. My teacher, we kept them in the class until they grew, right? So his bean plant, he took it home. My mom told me, Jerome, don't water that bean plant. It's not gonna make it. And I put too much water in the bean plant, and the bean plant, it went kaput, right? So Janine, this episode, she took some of Mr. Morton's stuff out of his classroom so he could come down to see her. So she wanted him to put on another egg drop, right? He told her no. And she lifted up her skirt because she had on shoes with Velcro. And she said, I want to fight you. I was like, Janine, you're all of 5'2". Unless you're gonna punch him in the, you know what, or the kneecaps, he's not gonna go for it, right? So let's pause here and wrap up the episode, you guys. So when Mr. Morton didn't want to, put on another egg drop, Janine went to Gregory and she was upset about it. And I was thinking the same thing that Gregory said. Why don't you put on your own egg drop? And I think for Janine, it might have been a thing of she wants to show. I'm not gonna say I was confused about what I think Janine. It's more that we don't know about Janine's childhood, and I think some of the things that Janine does, she wants to make up for her childhood. That's what I get when it comes to Janine. Because like I said a few minutes ago, when it comes to these children, her students are between 6 and 7 years old. They don't know, their little brains are not going to comprehend what these 8th graders are learning, right? So sometimes I love Janine. Like I said, I love Janine's enthusiasm. I love her need to want to empower her students. I love that about Janine. But there are sometimes when Janine does things and I'm just like, Janine, I think we're doing just a little bit too much. Just my personal opinion. I think sometimes Janine does too much. She means well, but she over exerts herself sometimes, right? Because like I said, these children are not going to retain this knowledge. So, so then we see Barbara. So Barbara she's with the mother, right? And she apologizes to her for being so judgmental. And the mom's like, you know what? I get it. You're right. I can be a little bit more conservative when I come and pick up my daughter and drop my daughter off from school, right? Because at one point we saw Barbara. Barbara was obsessed at a point because Barbara was in the teacher's lounge and Ava came in and saw Barbara. She was going through the woman's clothing line. So the woman sells regular clothes, lingerie. I'm like, Barbara. I love me some Barbara, but Barbara was doing a lot when it came to that mother, right? Her daughter is doing good in school, so if she's doing good in school, that means that her mother is doing a great job raising her. But it is what it is, right? So Janine is in the gym with her kids. So here we go again with Janine means well, but so she stole the man's helium tank, right? So she's put helium in balloons and she's attached the eggs to him, right? So so the students are releasing the helium infused balloons into the air and they went up to the fan and boom, they popped. I was like, and they fell to the ground. And that little boy whose best friend was a egg a few minutes ago, he made a junior, and that junior did not survive. I was like, oh. But it was a good episode, you guys. If I missed anything, definitely put it in the comment section. We'll discuss it going forward. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, guys. Share the video, and until the next time, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.